Okay, I'm with my friend Tayo again. Thank you so much for the video, and thank you so much for holding the camera. We're going to try to make it short because it's going to get tiring. So I want to talk about how to find the truth. I like talking to you about it because you're a very open-minded person, thoughtful as well, and from a different perspective, which is you're a Christian, so we agree and disagree on certain stuff. I like to, okay, and this is part of a happiness course, something I keep forgetting to mention. Why is that important to mention? Is because it's not just an ideological random conversation, it's about how to find happiness, and this is one of the many things that are necessary. Why is knowing the truth necessary? Is because the truth, maybe it's a big word, or being as close to the truth as you can, or keep working on developing your understanding of the truth. The reason why it's important is because the truth is essentially a psychological map of the world. So if you walk around pretending there's a wall, not a wall, and you keep bumping into the wall, you're going to physically hurt yourself. And the same with general truth. So knowing there's a difference between men and women and how they interact, and this is just a topic that keeps coming. This is the first thing that comes to my mind, but there's a million different things about, health, exercise, God. All these things are not random, pointless conversations. These are very important. I'll give you a really important one that a lot of people think are not important. Looking for a meaning in life, right? So psychologists always talk about Viktor Frankl. I don't actually know much. I always repeat the same things. And the good thing is, if you know a few things, you can be really happy, right? So that's the good news. If I keep repeating the same things, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
If you find the truth, you just keep repeating it.
Yeah. And people think you don't need meaning in your life, you don't need God in your life, but people like Viktor Frankl say, well, first of all, you do need meaning in life, because that's the essential thing that makes you happy, and people don't know that. That's a part of your essential part of your psychological map. Now you need to know. If you don't know that, you're going to suffer, and that's what we're seeing in the West. People are suffering despite having so many things. And then you need to have God, because you cannot really define meaning without God. It's a complicated discussion by itself. So, what do you think so far?
This topic of truth is one I've been trying to engage with other people at Speaker's Corner, and I think it's an important one because, firstly, there's levels to truth. That's one thing that I think it's important to distinguish. There are.
I'll help you out. It's hard. It's hard work. Yeah. Let's share.
We'll keep swapping.
Yeah.
There's
you stick it in your my face when you know what I mean. All that kind of stuff.
I get you. There's levels to truth. As a Christian, there's the truth of the resurrection. There's the truth of judgment after the resurrection. Now, the judgment part of after the resurrection, that's not for any one of us to have. That's not a truth that we can ascertain to, because that's the truth that only Christ knows who is or isn't saved. So that's what I mean by there's levels to truth. Now, does that mean we can't tell what is or isn't a woman? No, there's scientific truth that we do know as well.
Okay, let me ask you about that. That's really interesting. So, do you think you can logically analyze which faith is true? So could I go in and inspect, for example, Christianity, and say, so let's say I say something in Christianity goes against science, then does that stop Christianity being true?
No, and this is the point about there being levels to truth. There are higher truths than others.
So are you saying
the truth? One of the atheist or agnostic reason for not believing the Bible is because it's not a scientific textbook, and they they analyze that as if it's a scientific textbook, and that's the wrong way of engaging truth. If you're engaging truth on a global, on a cosmic scale, then yes, go to the Bible for that. The meaningful question, those important questions, those are the truths that the Bible will reveal to you.
So how do you know that? Okay, so are you
the previous question? Sorry.
You didn't finish.
Yeah, I didn't answer it.
Okay,
the previous question was
okay, my question. This is what I'm trying to get at. Is there something in the Bible? So I would say, okay, this is my position as a Muslim. the Quran doesn't ask you just to believe; it justifies everything it teaches. Okay, and otherwise you cannot differentiate between fact and fiction. So therefore, for example, it is reasonable not to believe in the Bible if the Bible says something that is against our understanding of the world as best as we know it.
And that understanding being the scientific mind frame.
So yeah, for example, the creation of the heavens and the earth story in Genesis. Yeah, so thank you. Teamwork. So yeah, I mean, I can't accept the Bible because it says things like when you go through the Genesis story. Thank you very much. There's all this stuff falling all the time. If you go through the Genesis story, it'll say after the first day there was sunrise and sunset. How does it go? What's the phrase?
And then there was morning, there was night, and then the next day.
Yeah, it was something like that, along those phrases, right? And then by day, I can't remember, 5 or something.
The sun actually gets created.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, oh, that doesn't add up. I can't believe it. I mean, am I justified? Have I got the wrong attitude?
Yes, I would say so. I would say you're approaching the. Oh, sorry, I've lost
it's
friend.
okay.
I would say you're approaching the Bible as a science textbook, and that's not what it's trying to reveal to you.
Okay. So how do we distinguish between fact and fiction, therefore?
Between fact and fiction.
Yeah, because if we're saying this, because what you're seem to is,
I don't. That is why I've been trying to engage. I don't have an answer to this. Fact and fiction.
Because we have to have a way.
Even the facts that we claim to be facts are narrative facts.
What do you mean? Narrative facts, you say?
Yes, the things that you believe about science are because you were told.
Shall we rest on this? I'm gonna.
Sorry.
No. Thank you.
It's alright. I got it. We'll keep swapping.
Thank you. Yeah.
I just need to find the right phrase.
Yeah. So this is my problem, that you have to have a mechanism by which you can distinguish between fact.
What mechanism do you use?
Is it actually raining? It is raining. Yeah, I thought it's like somebody's bitten by a gun. Like, what's going on? Okay. So what mechanism I use? I wanted to say something in the Quran. It says something like, "Truth has come and falsehood has vanished away. Surely falsehood vanishes away fast." And the meaning behind that, because the words in Arabic are a bit more complex, is the nature of falsehood dies from being exposed to the truth, right? So everybody has the ability to look. So in the face of truth, falsehood. So for example, in the face of scientific truth, as far as we know how the world works, we know you cannot have a sunrise and a sunset without a sun and a moon. So therefore you have problems, but you don't have those same problems in Islam or in the Quran. So that's
what's the. You're saying there are no scientific inaccuracies in the Quran.
Yes, in fact, that's the claim. Yes, and so if it wasn't the truth, if there were,
does that mean you're judging the Quran by the standard of science?
No. What God does is, God shows us that he is real by saying, first of all, he wants to demonstrate the Quran is a letter from God, right? How would God do that? He would tell us some things that people of the time couldn't have known. There has to be some sort of evidence God has to give as to us rational beings. He's created us.
I think we're far more irrational than you give us credit for. Far more irrational.
I agree, we are irrational, but we have the option of being rational if we choose to overcome our egos and our, I don't know, emotions.
The answer I was going to give to the question you asked, I don't remember, was going to invoke Soren Kierkegaard's Either Or. And I think the question must have been something like, what logic do you base your beliefs on? Why am I a Christian and not a Muslim? Is that because I have logic? I could try to tell you that it's because I've logically thought through everything and I thought Christianity is makes the most sense, but I think that would be a complete lie, because I have not gone through all the world religions and swap.
Oh, it's okay. Okay, swap. Yep.
Yeah, I've not gone through all the world religions, and I don't think I'm capable of making judgment, the logical judgment required to weigh all of them equally. So the Kierkegaard book I'm referencing is Either Or, and he basically says it's either you make the jump or you don't, and if you don't make the jump, you've made a decision. If you don't make a jump to believe in God, believe live a life that calls you to morality, then you've made a decision to live in a life of sin.
So I'm trying to understand this philosopher of some sort.
I don't.
Yeah,
Don't bother.
yeah. I wouldn't bother because I don't like philosophers, as we had talked about in an earlier discussion and live stream.
Sorry, this is going on for too long. Let me just quickly wrap up my
Yes,
my
yeah.
thoughts on it.
Yeah.
In terms of truth, there are levels to truth. There is I think one of the faults of modernity is judging everything off the scientific model, using a scientific truth frame for everything. That's my final thoughts.
And my final thoughts are: you don't have to know all truth at the same time. That's unreasonable. But what's more reasonable is whenever you come across a truth and you've got two choices, you should go for the more honest one. That's all.
Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your time.